Common fractions, numeration and operation. 4.1 Models for common fractions. Common fractions are written in form of b, the denominator, tells us how many equal parts the whole is subdivided into, and a, the numerator, tells the number of those parts that are under consideration. A common fraction is interpreted by dividing a whole object into several equal parts. Having this basic concept, we are then able to easily identify most commonly used fractions, and from there we can extend on it by using different forms of operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Learning sequence. The recommended learning sequence for the development of the initial fraction concept is in 3 important steps. 1. Be able to understand that 1, the whole, must be subdivided into equal-sized parts. 2. Then be able to name the number of equal-sized parts. For example, how many parts is the whole broken up into? Then 3. Be able to name the number of equal-sized parts and thus naming their sides. For example, 2 parts is known as a half, 3 parts is thirds, 10 parts is called tenths. Having this basic knowledge will then allow children to move on to understanding common fractions. Common fractions that are used at level 3 in Ausvals are a half, a third, a fourth, a fifth, 6th, 8th, 10th, 12th. Ausvals. Fractions only come into Ausvals in level 1, and at level 1 they should be able to recognise and describe 1 half as one of 2 equal parts of a whole. Then in level 2, recognise and interpret common uses of halves, quarters and eighths of shapes and collections. By level 3, students should be able to model and represent unit fractions including a half, a quarter, a third, a fifth and their multiples to complete a whole. Learning outcomes. With the use of this particular activity, students should be able to model common fractions, write common fractions, and represent unit fractions to complete a whole. Common misconceptions. There are many misconceptions and difficulties that students may find when trying to understand fractions. Difficulties often occur when there is little understanding that equal parts are needed or because the process of naming the parts to provide the fraction name is not internalized. A child might draw this or this to represent fifths. This shows that the child does not understand equal parts. Another misconception is, when counting the parts to determine a fraction, a child may use the counting numbers rather than relate them to the ordinal numbers to give them fraction names. A child might name this or this as 5/6 instead of 5/6. This is an activity to help demonstrate modelling common fractions. This is 1 pizza, 1 whole. If I need to share it between 2 friends, I need to break it up evenly in 2 parts. 1, 2. So 2 halves make 1 whole. If I had 3 friends and I wanted to share this pizza, I need 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. If I have 4 friends that I need to share my pizza with, I need to break the pizza into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I had 1 pizza and needed to share it between 5 people, I need to make 5 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is known as 1/5. By implementing this task, allows students to visually see the fractions that they are creating and also able to understand what fractions can be named. I believe that by using this activity will help demonstrate to students how many ways you can break up a whole number and how the bigger the denominator, the smaller the part. Using this form of method displays exactly how the common fraction looks when broken up in this particular form. To further extend on this lesson, I would then ask students to try and use a different form of model. Instead of using a circle shape, I'd ask them to use rectangles or squares to see how well they understood breaking down equal parts. By getting students to use different shapes allows them to get a deeper understanding on how common fractions can be displayed in many different ways but still mean the same thing.